may contain controversial material, also may contain swearing. Your discretion is advised.
There's no one in town, I know. You gave us some place to go. I never said thank you for that. I thought I might get one more chance. What would you think of me now? So lucky, so strong, so proud. I never said thank you for that. Now I never have a chance. May angels lead you in. Here you meet my friends. On sleepless roads, the sleepless go. May angels lead you in.
So I thought I'd mention the e-fits, but I will state that I don't hold them up to much credibility. What you have to remember is these were made by the McCanns and their friends and other British holidaymakers. So depending on your opinion, you might hold this as complete rubbish altogether. And except from the e-fit of the man carrying the child, all of them look like minor celebrities anyway. It was Jane Tanner that seen the man carrying his kid away from the apartment complex. She even drew a map out indicating where and when she had seen this person. And as I explained earlier, this was debunked to be a British man carrying his own kid. They even got the person, dressed him up in the exact clothes that was described that night. Then the cops released these two e-fit images of the same person who was carrying a child away from the apartments that night. Police say that a family saw a man with blonde-haired child of 3 or 4, possibly wearing pyjamas, heading away from McCann's holiday apartment at 10 PM. It came after Met Police detectives cross-referenced all the information gathered by the Portuguese cops, private investigators and mobile phone data from the resort. The e-fits were screened on BBC One's Crime Watch. The witness said that the man was quite 20 to 40 years old and of medium build. He had short brown hair, was clean shaven and of medium height. They are based on evidence from Irish holidaymaker Martin Smith and his family. And of course these two e-fits look remarkably similar to John and Tony Podesta. And just a quick reminder that this was out a long time before Pizzagate ever hit. The e-fits even matched Tony Podesta's right down to his mole, which I think is very coincidental. But yeah, both these e-fits were of the same person. And if you want my opinion, I think both the Podesta brothers should be locked up for their artwork alone. I mean, come on, just look at all that. It's not art, it's children suffering. And if you want my opinion on the whole Pizzagate fiasco, I think it's all a scapegoat and a cover-up for what really happened. It's all the Clintons doing and all their business. And if you watched my Eyes Wide Shut and Chris Cornell videos, you'll know about the Clintons and the whole Haiti fiasco. If not, just look up Laura Silsby, an aide that worked for the Clintons that got caught trafficking 33 kids out of Haiti without documents. And if you still don't believe that, my good friend Jamie Dlux has just released a video on the Clinton body count. These are all the high profile people that have been killed by the Clintons. Links below. So I've been trying to put together something that connects Clement Freud with John Podesta, but I've not come up with anything hard. There's been a few circumstantial things, but for instance, Hillary Clinton, her teacher in Yale was Anne Freud. It was Clement's auntie. Could just be coincidental, just like how Clement was the rector at Dundee Uni. But one other thing I found quite interesting, to say the least. Clement's son Matthew, see who he was married to? This is Elizabeth Murdoch. Yes, that Elizabeth Murdoch. Ring any bells? This will be significant later on. Now, a few things I found interesting on a few websites, but I can't find any hard evidence of this. John Podesta's leaked emails to Hillary Clinton. Apparently they started off the day after Madeleine went missing, which I find quite curious. There's also a few websites stating that Clement and John Podesta knew each other. Now, it is said that Clement was out of the country. He wasn't in Portugal when Madeleine went missing, but there's claims that he could have lent the villa out to John Podesta and Tony Podesta, and they could have actually been in Portugal at the time. But I can't find any evidence to substantiate this. Plus, an FBI insider also turned around and said that the word around the FBI offices was that in fact happened, that Tony Podesta was in fact staying at Clement's villa when Madeleine went missing. An FBI trained artist drew an impression after Gail Cooper told detectives she saw a strange looking man lurking near the McCann's apartment. 3 times on the night she vanished. He appeared Mediterranean but not Portuguese, and spoke fairly good English, and was clean shaven apart from his moustache. He wore a heavy cotton khaki jacket and green or blue t-shirt and khaki combat trousers. Around his waist was a black leather bum bag. He told Gail he was collecting money for an orphanage in the nearby village of Ispishi. Sorry if I butchered that name. Moving from foot to foot and waving what appeared to be ID documents, he said an English couple had been killed in a motorway smash nearby, and their 3 children were being looked after at the orphanage. He was very pushy and intimidating, said Gail. He was waving his hands and came out with this story, which I didn't believe, to get me to hand over some cash. He kept staring right at me, virtually imploring me to give money. But I wouldn't. He spoke good English, but it wasn't really with a Portuguese accent. My grandchildren were in the pool, and my husband had gone out, and I just wanted him to go away. Her claims, one of many, alleged to have been ignored by DCI Paulo Amaral, who led the initial hunt, because it didn't fit in with his own suspicions, would later spark a huge but unsuccessful manhunt across Europe and Morocco. Police later claimed to have tracked down and ruled out the suspect. This is another drawing of that suspect. Does this drawing look vaguely familiar to you at all? And this is former Beatle George Harrison. I would say the resemblance is quite striking, wouldn't you? And this creepy drawing was released to mark the 2nd anniversary of Maddie's disappearance. The artist's impression shows a very ugly man who was seen watching the apartment twice in the days before she went missing. It is based on an account from a British woman on holiday at the resort. He was described as having pitted skin and a large nose, about 5 foot 10 inches, very ugly, slim and wearing casual clothes. One British tourist said, "The man unnerved me. He was very ugly with a with a pitted face. Another e-fit that was brought up was this lady here. The suspect, who spoke in an Australian accent, was reportedly waiting impatiently outside a bar in Barcelona. It happened in the city's marine area, 3 days after Maddie vanished. The woman was then spotted having a heated conversation with a local man in what appeared to be fluent Spanish. She was last seen walking towards the hospital and more distant ferry and cruise ship terminals. The man she talked to described her as being 30 and 35, slim, about 5'2", and with short brown hair. She was wearing expensive looking blue jeans and a jersey top, possibly pastel coloured. The incident sparked fears that she had been snatched to order, and an e-fit of the suspect was released. Despite a massive investigation by Portuguese and British police and huge publicity worldwide, she was never found. And this was what Victoria Beckham looked like at the time. Kinda similar, eh? Well, you can make your mind up yourself about those e-fits, but if you ask me, I think the whole thing was made up, and these are even possibly the celebrities that they thought of at the time when they were putting together these e-fits. I'm not sure at all, but there is definitely a striking similarity between these e-fits. Definitely.
This is probably a very difficult question for you to answer, but do you have a theory of what you think happened?
Well, what we do know is on that morning of Madeleine's disappearance, so that night the call was made on the 3rd of May, we do know on that morning that Madeleine went to Jerry and Kate and said, "Where were you last night?" Because we know that Sean and Annalise, the twins, did wake up on days prior to her disappearance. And I think as a result of that, Madeleine was clearly aware that Jerry and Kate were in the tapas bar, which was in the resort. Now, the interesting element of that is in order to get to the tapas bar, you had to actually come out of the premises, walk on a public road to go back in again. And that raises the concern that I have with regards to Madeleine, I believe, woke up in the middle of the night, she went looking for Jerry and Kate, and she left the apartment and came out. And what we do know is the patio door at the back was insecure. It was very warm now. I was there within a matter of days, and it was really, really warm. There was no air conditioning in the apartments, and that back door was insecure.
Legally, we have to leave it there.
Yeah.
But there is a statement, isn't there, from the...
Yeah, I mean, they're basically saying they're very pleased that there's an ongoing police investigation. They're hoping that that, of course, will bring up some news. And they still maintain the view that Madeleine is alive, that there's no evidence to say that there's physical harm has come to her.
Okay, all right, thank you.
These are the patio doors here in question. To give any credence whatsoever to the idea that Madeleine could have walked out on her own, you would have to accept that she had gone out the back way, pulled aside the sitting room curtains and drawn them again, then opened the patio doors, the child safety gate at the top of the stairs on the veranda and the little gate to the road, and carefully closed all three behind her. And I have to agree with this because what 3-year-old do you know who would do that? And we knew that our Madeleine, she simply would not wander off like this. The McCann stated, the theory was not also insulting, it was much more importantly frightening, damaging to the chances of finding Madeleine quickly. Former GP Kate 50 also spoke about the shutters in the TV interview with an American chat show queen, Oprah Winfrey, to mark the 2nd anniversary of Madeleine's disappearance in May 2007. She said, "That was when I knew that someone had taken her. It was obvious because a child could not open those shutters. Portuguese cops in the initial burglary inquiry headed to Goncalo Armorel, who the McCanns are still locked in a liable battle, which speculated the youngster could have walked down the hill and fallen into the roadwork pit where she died. Another theory was that she was knocked unconscious and her body was not discovered when the hole was filled over the following day. The Sun Online revealed last week that the Met Police team Operation Grange were chasing two specific and active lines of inquiry. A source in Portugal said a meeting took place recently at the HQ of the General Attorney's Office, which was attended by the prosecutor for Portimão, who is in charge of the Portuguese inquiry. One of the lines of investigation that continues to be pursued is that Maddie could have walked out of the holiday flat herself. Operation Grange has previously said that they believe Maddie was snatched or taken during a burglary gone wrong. Madeleine wakes up and disturbs a burglar. He panics and attacks her, then decides to carry her off, dead or alive. In 2014, the Metropolitan Police, through the Portuguese police, questioned 4 local suspects on this theory. They came under suspicion because of their mobile phone contact and location at the time of Madeleine's disappearance, as well as their backgrounds, but were later ruled out. The Met is still pursuing the general theory, but Portuguese officers have dismissed it. Wouldn't a burglar who is disturbed simply get out of the apartment? Detectives say that you cannot apply cold logic to a criminal reacting under pressure. If you have eliminated other theories, you pursue the one where you have some evidence, however thin it is, until you disprove that as well. Such a spontaneous act is likely to lead to mistakes and a trail of evidence and detection. But we know there was no fingerprints or damage on the shutter, if that was what they used to escape. Not a trace was found, but the police had 3 suspects. The 3 men have been declared suspects by Portuguese police, who arrested them on the request of British police, but they have been released. When they were previously interviewed, the men admitted petty theft from the apartments at the complex, but denied being involved in Madeleine's disappearance. Paulo Ribeiro, one of the men, has also told BBC Panorama how amazed he had been when approached by the British detectives. He and the other 3 men were also backed by Pedro do Carmo, Deputy Director of the Policia Judiciária, who told Panorama he had never considered them as to be suspects. He said, "I can only say that we questioned those people on the request of the Metropolitan Police, and only based on the request of the Metropolitan Police. We never questioned those people. We never saw or looked at those people as suspects of the crime." And despite British detectives still considering the idea of a burglary gone wrong to be plausible, Carlos Anjos, the former head of the Policia Judiciária Officers Union, told Panorama, "This burglary theory is absurd. Not even a wallet disappeared. No television disappeared. Nothing else disappeared. A child disappeared." See, this is another thing I get. Apparently the resort was quite boring for kids, so I don't know why they chose there. Plus, did they not look at reviews or anything about the place before they booked it? Or was it a case of, "Oh, it's a place in the sun, let's go"? There had been 18 incidents of attempted kidnapping, sexual assault and near misses against children made by perpetrators who broke into the resort hotel rooms. Both the UK and Portuguese are now focusing on 18 incidents during which male intruders allegedly broke into the hotel rooms housed by the families in the same area of the Algarve, where the McCann family believed they were safe. 9 of the incidents involved British families. 3 of the incidents took place in Dlux, the area where the McCanns were vacationing, and 1 incident took place in a very same resort where young Madeleine disappeared. 5 incidents took place in nearby Carveiro, sorry if I butchered that, between 2004 and 2006, and the others took place just a few miles in the coastal resort towns. Sufficient characteristics between the cases led them to now believe that 18 matters in total concerning children may be potentially linked. So would you take your family on a boring holiday where the kids wouldn't have much to do, and also not check the place out or look at any reviews or anything like that? Just go ahead and book the ticket because it's warm and sunny. I don't know, seems a bit suspicious to me. So that brings an end to part 3. Part 4 will be coming very soon. It will be a big one though, because I will be analysing the parents, looking through just about everything I can, all the evidence that maybe points to them. So it'll be a fine-tooth comb. So remember, if you do like my videos, please like and subscribe. If you're feeling generous, you can support me on Patreon. All the links are below. Also, I've started another channel called Mr. Self-Destruct's March of the Pigs. Yes, 9 Inch Nails. It's just a live channel where I will be live streaming every now and then. You can jump on and speak, and we'll be speaking about all sorts. Also, links below. Thanks for watching.